The general debate continues at UN headquarters in New York City. A meeting of the Security Council on the non-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction and a discussion of a global treaty on migrants titled The Road to Marrakesh were held by visiting diplomats. The streets of New York are blocked by police to maintain security.
They have the streets closed off. The UN members and Donald Trump are going to be headed towards the UN, so all the streets are closed right now. Yeah, I think a lot of people are frustrated because it's coming on, it's just now 9 o'clock.
Out of more than 30 speakers, the representative from Estonia talked not only about the country's problems, but also mentioned the situation in Ukraine.
Ongoing military aggression in eastern Ukraine continues, in the very heart of Europe. Crimean Peninsula remains occupied, as two parts of Georgia. And there is no resolution of the long-term and violent conflicts in Africa. It is hard to tolerate these sad issues. Yet, it is no solution to mince words to make ourselves feel better. For those in distress, recognition of the true situation, together with the humble recognition that we cannot do much more than commiserate, is offering at least some hope. Some hope that one day things could be better.
The schedule for the delegation from Ukraine is very tight. Ukrainian officials had breakfast with the representatives of the business world. Lunch was accompanied by several bilateral meetings. One accomplishment was the signing of a visa-free agreement with Uruguay. However, they failed to reach an understanding with Hungary. Its officials have once again voted against holding a Ukraine-NATO commission in October.
The meeting was extremely complicated, since Hungary is upping the ante both in the public sphere and in its political discussion. In fact, the logic which they are using in this discussion reminds me a lot of the Russian logic. The logic of alleged existence of nationalistic sentiments. The logic of alleged conscious persecution of the Hungarian community.
Prior to the debates, Ukraine's president met with his American counterpart Donald Trump. Also, during his meeting with the UN Security General Antonio Guterres, Petro Poroshenko presented a note on the end of a friendship agreement with Russia. This was followed by Poroshenko delivering his speech to the General Assembly.
The United Nations shall not be silent when the values and principles rooted in its charter and the entire border of international law are being violated by the veto country. It is due to the lack of the relevant punishment that after Georgia came Ukraine, after Litvinenko came Skripal, and after Aleppo came Idlib. Kremlin has no intention to stop.
President Poroshenko pointed out that the illegally annexed Crimea has been turned into a Russian military stronghold and asked the UN to support the resolution on the peninsula's demilitarization. Ukraine's leader also spoke about the Kremlin's political prisoners, in particular about Oleg Sentsov and Volodymyr Balukh, whose lives are in danger due to their hunger strikes. Petro Poroshenko also talked about Ukrainian soldiers currently held hostage by Russian-led militants in Donbass.
Russia's aggressive policy, as well as its arrogance in using lethal weapons, multiply the threat. In this regard, Ukraine counts on your active support for the relevant resolution during this session. Since the first day of the illegal occupation of the Crimea, Crimean Tatar and ethnic Ukrainians have faced repression and discrimination. There are many cases of murders, tortures, harassment, and arrest under the fabricated charges.
The main message that Ukraine's president tried to convey was that UN should not remain silent. Moscow cannot be stopped unless the international community demonstrates a united position.